Hello, everyone from different locations of the world. So it's good morning,
Hi.
it's good afternoon, it's good evening. Thank you so much for joining this edition of TechStylers Monthly Meetup. I found this to be very exciting. Every single edition has been amazing. I've been learning so much from the amazing women, and everyone who has joined has been completely inspired, hearing our stories and our experiences and how we've kind of sailed through all the ups and downs and gotten to where we are. And I think that there's nothing more important than sharing your story to help another woman. So thank you for joining us. I'd like to say happy birthday to Donna in absentia. Today is Donna's birthday, and I'm really excited about her and her person, because when I had this idea, I shared it with her, and she was like, "Do the thing, do the thing, do the thing." And yes, and we're all here today. So our warm regards to her. Yes, we're going to start the session with Olayinka. Olayinka is one of us, one
Yeah.
of us textiler, and like she's coming from a background of engineering, chemical engineering, with hands-on experience as an engineer in the field. And she will tell us more about her story, but like she's not coming from a tech background at all, and she has been able to start to learn the Power Platform tools and build out solutions with them. So I'm really excited. She's going to show us her first app and just tell us more about herself, how she got to know about Textilers and the Power Platform, and do a little demo on the first app that she has made. So let's cheer Inka.
Thank you very much, Foyi, for that introduction. And like Foyi said, my name is Olayinka, and I find this quite interesting because my background, like Foyi said, is in chemical engineering. That was what I had my first degree in. Can we see my screen, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had my first degree in chemical engineering, which I finished about 8 years ago. And then afterwards, I went on to work in an oil service firm as a field engineer, all on going offshore, going to different remote locations in boots and coveralls. And I did that for about 2 years, after which there was some recession in the industry. I lost that job, and then I had to like try to find another job. And because that industry was a bit shaky then, I found myself in banking. It was entirely different from what I had been doing before. Both the job, the dressing, in short, it was like a very dramatic shift for me. And all of my friends were like, "Oh, are you sure you'll be able to do this? Are you sure you'll be able to do this?" And then in no time, I was doing just fine in banking. So what happened with my role in banking was I got a role as a business analyst in a commercial bank in the corporate banking segment. So that required me to do a lot of reporting, mostly with Microsoft Excel and some other tools. And they were mostly things I wasn't used to doing anyway. So I had to learn most of them on the job. There were things even my boss did not know that I didn't know. So whenever I just told me, okay, you have to do this, then I just pick up Google or whatever and then learn it and then deliver on the task. So I learned so much on the job. In a short time, I became so good. Everyone in my department, when they wanted to do something in Excel, they'd be like, oh, go and meet Inka, she's good in Excel. Go and meet Inka, she's good in Excel. And that was it. Then after some time, there was a training going on in my company on Power BI. I was not enrolled for the training. It was my boss that was enrolled. But somehow I managed to get crash the training. And then I was like, oh, this is really interesting. Makes our work easier and all of that. So after then, I was picking up Power BI on my own, even though just learning, there was no much motivation. Then I found a Power BI user community here in Lagos online. Then I joined the group, and then that was when preparations were ongoing for the Global Power Platform Conference that took place early this year. So I attended that conference. It was at that conference that I now found out that there was something like Power Platform, because I just knew Power BI as a single tool. So that was where I found out, oh, there's Power Apps, there's Power Automate, and all the others. And since then, so after that event, I followed many of the organizers on Twitter, Foyin, Abigail, and a lot of others. And so in May, when Foyin decided to start TechStylers, I was like very excited to join. And then since then, we've had different classes where we were taught the basics of Power Platform and all of that. And I found it very interesting because, so I remember in the first meetup that we had, the first question I kept asking was, I don't like programming. I don't like sitting down to write lines of code. Are you guys sure that I would really be able to do this? And then Foyi encouraged me and said, oh, she doesn't write lots of lines of code too, but she uses the Power Platform very well. So I was encouraged, and then I joined the classes. And then after the last class we had the assignment to develop our own app, which I sat down and took my time to do. And I was so excited when the app was working. I posted it on Twitter, and then Donna retweeted. Everybody was encouraging me. The love in the community was amazing. So I was really encouraged. And so she was like, okay, so since I got the app working, in our next meetup, I should demo the app. So I will just go straight to showing us the app now. The app is a service requests app. Like, for example, in many of our organizations, usually if you need, say, you need your laptop to be changed, sometimes you have to like maybe go to some platform and put in a request that says you need to. So in some places you still have to actually send an email to your supervisor, and then your supervisor sends an email to somebody in IT and all of that. But with this app, you can come and log your requests, and then also your supervisor, after you log your request, your supervisor can come and also approve the request, saying, okay, you can go ahead and get whatever you requested for. So basically, that's what the app does. And can we see my app now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So that's what the app does basically. It has four screens. The screen where you log in, which I named the login screen. The second screen is the requester screen, which the person requesting for anything, where you fill in your details. Then the approval screen, where the manager is going to approve what has been requested for, and the success screen that says the request was successfully submitted. So basically, on the requester screen, we have a form that is actually linked to a document in SharePoint that already specifies the information that you need to fill in the different columns. Also, we did a twist by having a statement, an if statement in the where you are trying to submit the form. So what the if statement does typically is just to check that you have filled all of the columns, all of the items. If there's any item that you've not filled, the app is going to like remind you to fill in the required field. And then the approval screen. In the approval screen, we have this gallery. This gallery shows all the approval that has come to that manager, both in the past and the current one. Then when you select the current one, it automatically fills the cards on the right. And then the manager can also, some information on the manager screen are set to read only, such that, for example, when the person requesting has already filled everything they need, the manager cannot come and change it and say, oh, no, don't take a keyboard take. You can only approve or reject it. So all those other things, the manager can just view it. The manager can't change it. Then once the manager submits, it gets approved. And also, so that's about it, and that's the success screen. So I will just play the app so that we'll see how it functions. So this is the first screen. The first thing that happens is the requester that wants something, you log your request. So I'll click login as a requester. So I programmed this such that immediately somebody logs in, this requester automatically picks the person's username so that you don't have to fill your name again. As much as possible, we'll try to enhance productivity. So the time the person spends filling the name is saved, and also the date. I also programmed that to pick today's date and current time of now, so you don't have to fill that manually too. So here you select your location. I get 3 locations: Lagos Island, Lagos Mainland, or outside of Lagos. So let me pick outside Lagos. Also, you select what department you're in. So let me say the person is in either human resources, finance, or corporate communications. So I'll pick human resources. Then you fill in the name of your line manager. I'll just put my name so that I'll be able to do the approval leg. So Olayinka. Supposed to pop up my name. Okay, Olayinka. So I just want to test this. So remember I said that if you don't fill any of the columns, the submit button would not run. So I tried to submit now. It says please fill the required fields. That's because I have not filled the request type. So I'll just fill the request type. Say I want a mouse. Then I will submit. Request successfully submitted. So I'll just show us the record on the SharePoint lists. So the record just came from Olayinka Styler, Human Resources, outside Lagos, requesting for a mouse by so time. And also, so I've programmed it such that because it has not been approved, the status automatically shows pending. So now I'll go and log in as the manager and then approve the request. So I log in as line manager. So we're here. I'll look for the requests. All these are other requests that I have received in the past, but the last one is the most recent one. So once I check this, it auto fills here, and then I can just decide whether I want to approve or reject it. So let's say approve, and then any other comments, maybe let's say okay to treat. So once I fill all of that, the time here also is automatically populated as today's date and the current time. So submit it. It says request successfully submitted. From here we can just go back to the home page. Then we can verify on the SharePoint lists, see if it has been approved. So now the request has been approved. It shows the time it was approved, and it also shows the comment okay to treat, and the request status also has automatically changed to completed from pending that it was before. So that's about how the app works. You can start another request again if you want. So yes, like I said earlier,
Thank you. Thank you very much, Yinka. I like your app very much. And I'm sure you can see all the well done and the kudos and everything in the group chats. It's really nice. The interface looks good and it's really easy to use. And also you put into consideration the different controls to ensure that your data was properly captured before the users could submit their requests. I also found that very, very thoughtful and very functional. An amazing application. Thank you for sharing with us, and we look forward to the more amazing applications that you would build using Power Apps.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So our first next speaker for tonight is Sheryl. I I love her story so much. Like we had our first interaction via email, and if I had a mobile number, I would have called her to say,
Oh,
"Wow, like
you
this,
can call me anytime, right?
this her story is so amazing, and I thought that everyone should hear it and be completely inspired. I mean, 25 years in the tech industry, and she's still top notch on top of her game is totally commendable. So let's hear the story from her directly.
Okay, let me get this sorted. Let me share my screen.
Okay, thank you.
Right, can you see my screen? Can you see?
Not yet, I'm afraid.
Oh, hang on. Just make sure I've clicked it properly. Again. Yeah, is that it now?
Yes.
Yeah.
We can
I was
see.
being a bit hasty there, probably. Right, okay. Just get this up. Cool. Okay, so my session is called One Journey, Many Paths. And I'm just going to talk to you about my sort of 25 years-ish in tech and a few things that I've learned along the way. I'm going to share those with you. Okay, so who am I and why am I here? Well, my name is Sheryl, and for the past 18 months, I've been a Dynamics consultant at Tisky, which is a Microsoft Gold partner, and Inner Circle partner based in the UK. Tisky do loads of work in government and public sector, and prior to that I worked for a different global Microsoft partner as an enterprise services manager focusing on Dynamics 365 implementations. Outside of work, I'm a mother of 4 almost grown-up children, and my youngest is 16. And as I said, I'm here today to talk about how, despite taking the long way round, I was able to carve out quite a successful career in technology, and share some of the lessons that I learned with you for anybody thinking about embarking on a similar journey. So to start, I'd like to go back a few years to 1997. And in 1997, the Spice Girls were telling us to spice up our lives, and Jack and Rose were steaming up the windows on the Titanic, and the world wept as Diana, the People's Princess, waved her last goodbye. I was in my early 30s, and that year I became a single mum with 3 small kids, with only a part-time job to keep us all afloat. And it was pasta surprise most days. So I started out on a help desk part-time, which was quite a low-paid job. And when I went into the job, the previous employee who trained me said that I should bring along a book to read because it was really boring. And that was really a far cry from the career that my dad had advised me to aim for as a young girl, when he said to me to find what I loved and make it my job. So the help desk I worked on was managed by a network and infrastructure manager, and her name is Sue Howe. And Sue was an incredible woman. She actively promoted positive female role models in a time when there were hardly any women working in tech. And she built an IT team consisting almost entirely of women. And one of the many life-changing things that Sue did for me was to encourage me to have faith in myself. And this is really my first piece of advice. Sue also introduced me to a poem called The Desiderata, written by Max Ehrmann. And a line from that poem is shown on the slide here. And it reads, "You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars." So many times when I felt that nothing would ever get better, this poem inspired me. I'd never really considered making a career in tech, previously having worked in financial services and advertising, among many other things. I guess I'd sort of drifted, as I'd never really had any proper career goals. But thanks to Sue's advocacy, I eventually moved off of the help desk and into tech support, and I found a job I loved, problem solving and helping people. I became a technical analyst working on PC hardware and software. And then I changed track and became a systems consultant, implementing systems and writing interface code. And from there, I went into business analysis. And finally, I went full circle and became a service desk manager, which was quite an achievement, all things considered. But for some reason, I didn't feel that excited about it. As a single mum of 3 young children, I didn't get out much. So I tended to do quite a lot of reading. And we were really fortunate that we had a book club at work. And it was around this time that I read a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And this book had a profound effect on me. And I've made the 7 habits personal behaviours that have helped in both my personal and my professional life. And if I could recommend reading just one book, this would be the one. And you can see some of those behaviours on the screen here. My next piece of advice would be to be brave. This picture is about being brave. I have a massive fear of heights, but this picture shows me leaping off of a platform 25 meters up onto a 200 meter zip wire. Being brave is not just about being reckless. It's okay to be afraid, but sometimes you need to face that fear and take a leap of faith. To put it another way, sometimes you just need to take the path, even if you don't know where it's going to take you. It's okay because you can always find your way back. This slide is about rising by lifting others, and it's something that I truly believe. Just as Sue lifted me way back in 1997, I now make it my mission to help as many other people as I can. And I'm a great believer in paying it forward. And it's not just a great film, it's actually an awesome blueprint for how to live your life. And below paying it forward, I've just popped in the Microsoft mission statement, because I firmly believe in the massive potential of using tech for good, and I get a huge amount of motivation from this. And these principles help fuel my passion for tech. This is my last slide, and if you take one idea away, please let it be this one. The Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella has spoken many times on the importance of a growth mindset and lifelong learning, and I honestly think it is never too late to do and to learn new things. I started working in IT when I was 31 years old. I went to my first festival when I was 35 years old. When I was 37, I taught myself to tap dance because I'd always wanted to know how to do that. And I was over 50 when I chose to move from being an expert in ITSM to a novice in Dynamics. I've just built my first fully functioning website, and I've started a blog. And in the past 15 months, I've passed all of the certifications that you can see on the screen here. Now, I'm not showing you this because I think I'm great and I know it all. I'm far from finished learning. But what I wanted to say was you can achieve all of this regardless of anything that has gone before. And that's not just you. This could be something you could encourage your mother, your sister, your daughter, or friend to do as well, because it is never too late. No? Do you have any questions?
I'm just impressed by the sheer number of certifications you have there. I think everyone's just like flabbergasted and is just wowed into silence.
Like, we're all kind of just taking it in. Like, okay. How many badges have I got? Oh, wow. I mean, I'm completely impressed.
Well, the point is that, you know, I'm just a woman, you know, a mum, a daughter, a sister, just a person like everybody else. And, you know, anyone can do this stuff, absolutely anybody, you know. So that would be my message, really, is that it's all of this stuff is out there on the internet for people to learn. You know, that's where I've found it all. I've had no formal training, none at all. So this is all stuff that I've taught myself. And if I can do it, you know, anyone can do it.
Thank you. Thank you. That's really, really encouraging. It's really encouraging. And I think that a number of us are also self-taught. Like I was telling someone yesterday that I've not gone for any formal training on the Power Platform. It's all kind of self-taught. You just get curious. And of course, with the amazing help of the community, that's why I love we rise by lifting others. You know, I've had so many people who are a part of my success story. Like I've been stuck and I've called Keith at 8 p.m. to say, I need your help. I'm drowning. How do I crack this? And he spent 1 hour with me trying to figure it out. I really felt completely loved. I felt completely loved, like, wow. So he can actually take out his time and help me out. And I think that that's what we should all do. And that's what it's really about. And that's why I sit down now and spend hours with people also teaching them and trying to help them figure it out. So like once you get help the next person, and then we all rise together. So thank you so much. I found your presentation very inspiring.
Thank you, Fawn.
Yay. Thank you. We have Michelle next. She's going to show us something very cool. I've been literally looking forward to this.
at least I try to show it. Okay, let me share my screen and my presentation. So okay, you can see my screen right now.
Yeah, that's coming through well.
You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can I keep this camera on the slide, or shall I cut it down, turn it off? Because I only have one screen.
Yeah.
So if I put this down, I don't see any reactions, and also the chat, I didn't know what is telling. So maybe if there are any questions, just let me know.
Okay. That's fine. Whatever you're comfortable with works for us.
Okay. So let's start my my presentation. So first of all, I press it over here. I was thinking. I saw the last few sessions about TechStylers, and I was thinking, how can I give an inspirational story or something I can share with you, how to get started in Power Platform, but also do a step outside your comfort zone. Maybe as Sheryl said, it's never too late to learn. So I just want to show you some work that I have done the last few months, last year, and maybe that will give you some ideas to give it a try. So let's get started. Here I have a little bit long introduction about myself. Normally I just have one slide about myself, but this time I tell a little bit more about my story. I'm a Microsoft 365 consultant, and normally I focus on SharePoint Online, Microsoft Teams, but with the come of Power Platform, I also focused on that platform because it's totally in my street. So, if I show you my career path, that will make a little bit more sense. Also, you can see here my Twitter handle and my LinkedIn link, so feel free to get connected. And my daughter wrote something for me. It's Rochelle. Some of you maybe know her, but I promise her if it's possible, then I show some drawings of her. She draw in my presentation. So here it is. Rochelle also has a Twitter handle. That's Little Artist Pro. So if you don't know her, feel free to contact, and she will be happy to. She will be happy to have some followers in her Twitter profile. Okay, next slide. As I said, a little bit more about myself. I finished my bachelor degree in the Netherlands as a public relation and communication specialist. So I don't have any IT background. And I started my IT role as a web designer. And after that, as Sheryl said before, there are many paths come across your career. So I did a switch to a web programmer, consultant, etc. And in the beginning of 2000, SharePoint was coming up, and I was an application developer, and I have to maintain the platform. So I enrolled in the SharePoint world. And later on, there is called SharePoint Online, and I did a lot of SharePoint Online things. But after a while, you don't only have to use with SharePoint Online, but also the Microsoft platform. So it's a Microsoft of Office 365, and I became a consultant. When 2 years ago, I think, in the Office 365 suite, there is a Power Platform coming in, the new term Power Platform, like Power BI, Power Automate, and Power Platform. And as a consultant, you have to figure out what it is. Is it something we have to use? We can use it, and what is it to use? Maybe we can use it in our project. So I start to dig it out. And yeah, I'm 24 years old. So, but there's a tip. Someone said never ask an Asian woman about her age, because they are always wrong. But I just have a lot of experience. Let's say it's just a lot of experience. So about my path, as a consultant, you do one project after another project, and one of them, when the Power Platform comes out, I start thinking, hey, maybe this is something I can do. And as I told before, I don't have any deep dive developer background or IT background. I'm UI person, I'm front end person, I'm a functional consultant. So, but the Power Platform is just on my way, because it's low coded, no coded, and I can understand what it is and what it's doing. And also my background can help me to turn something on. I know how to analyze the steps. Let's say in Power Automate, I exactly know what I have to do, which trigger, which action to use it to achieve the data, to reach the data and pass the one data to another one. So for me, with Office 365 knowledge and with the come of Power Platform, it's just a whole new world open for me, because I can use Office 365 suite. And with use of Power Platform, I can use a lot of connectors to connect data outside Office 365. Sorry, I have to say Microsoft 365, but you know, but it's a whole new world open for me. And so I start to dig out Power Automate, and I did some app in a day from Serge Luca and from Ahmad. And also I create simple solutions in my projects. Let's say automate things for them. I went to Power Platform Europe Summit in March 2019, and I did app in a day again. And also I start creating my first app in the hotel room during that event, because I know, hey, there's a lot of expert around here. So if I have any questions, I can ask them. And I start networking. I start reaching out to connect the ask questions to experts. So finally, I met some friends, and also they encourage me. Hey, Michelle, you have so much knowledge. Why you don't speak on events or share your gained knowledge? So there's also one thing outside my comfort zone. I with their encouragement, I start register or join sessions. So that's the way how I start speaking in public. And I met Brian Deng from during the event, and I was asking questions. I told him I did my first Power App in a hotel room, and after the nice conversation, he said, "Hey Michelle, you are a Power Addict." I said, "Hey, Power Addict, what is it? What's that?" So yeah, so I want to emphasize what is Power Ethics, and in the next conference I joined, I met Rick Bucker, and he gave me a Power Ethics sticker and a Microsoft pin. So it's just that was my starting point, and also I met a lot of other experts and MVP, and also I fall in love with the community, because they are all very nice people. They encourage you, they help you, and if you have any questions, they are always open and free to help, and they will give you some time. And last time I had questions. I didn't know how to achieve it. I posted a question on my Twitter, and I got a lot of reply from a lot of experts, MVPs, and Power Addicts over the world. So that's also what I want to tell to all of you. Just reach out to the community, and they are all ready, and they are always ready to help you. So I just want to say, if you like Power Platform, or some people over here like Alison or Clarissa, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I just think if you like Power Platform, then you are a Power Addict. And I think Brian also answered this about that. He gave me this answer. So, okay. They're a bit long introduction, but sorry.
Also in chat spamming, you're absolutely right, and like 100% correct.
Yeah, as I said, I don't know, I cannot read the questions right now, but I just go ahead with my presentation, and then I read after that. If there are any questions, just let me know. Okay. Yeah, about my gamification in Power Apps. First of all, as I said, in normal working days, I'm a Microsoft 365 consultant. So there are not, maybe in the Netherlands, I live in the north of Netherlands. So maybe there is not much request for now for business applications, or maybe it's not familiar. Maybe they don't know what it is. So we have to tell them, or they have to request. So till now, I'm still waiting for my first job on creating Power Apps, but I want to prepare myself. So I learn myself Power Apps in my spare time, in weekends, or if it's possible, I would advise them to use Power Apps to achieve their goal and target to do their business process. So how can I learn myself Power Apps? So I think about some ideas and I work it out. Or maybe I join some webinar or seminar, and then it will give me inspiration, and then I will try it out. One of the message I received was the best way to learn is to learn Power Apps to make your own game. I heard from Matthew Devaney, and also from Brian. So just work out your ideas, and then you can learn a lot about yourself and how you can achieve it in Power Apps. So I start creating games. Also in May 2000, May this year, I joined Power Apps for Kids. That's a group of also experts, MVPs like Rory Neri and Peter Feenstra. They started Power Apps for Kids, and their target and their goal is to learn big kids and little kids from, let's say, 8 years or 10 years old, to learn them how to use Power Apps, how to create a game in Power Apps, and how to do things in Power Apps so they can create their own game. So that's also one of the ideas I want to achieve, because my son is 12 years old. I also want to learn him and learn my daughter playing with Power Apps. So I did a lot of things to attract them, actually. So and also it's just also for fun. So I create a lot of games. Here I saw some ideas that I've created. This is Panda Man. I saw a webinar, a session from Laura Graham, and she did a Hangman game. And I asked my daughter to draw some panda for me, and I create a Panda Man game. So I add her images into my app, and here I create an hangman game for them to play with. Also, in one of the sessions of Power Apps for Kids, Reza Dorani create a memory game, and with his memory game, I add another theme on it. And I create a Pokemon memory game because my son is a fan of Pokemon. So I create a Pokemon memory game. Also, in one of the next sessions of Power Apps for Kids, they teach us how to create crosses and notes game. And I also did a session about how to create a paper, rock, and scissor game. And I teach them how to use sound effects into a Power App. And I create an animal farm for them. So if I press on one of the animals, it will give a sound. And on the background, it will play Old MacDonald Has a Farm. So it's a fun factor, but with some achievement to teach them how to create games. Also in May of this year, in Power Apps community call, I saw Reza Dorani show us the new feature, mixed reality with 3D. And that gives me another idea to create another app, because I want to play with that feature. So I did a search on internet, and I found 3D models of Pokemon. So I add the ideas of 3D models from Pokemon and the new mixed reality. I put it all together in Power Apps. And so I created the Pokemon 3D game. And also with the encouragement of Reza Dorani, I entered my Pokemon 3D app into, I did my entry to Demo Extravaganza. And here, each app that is entered can receive kudos, likes. If you have enough kudos, the first 5 will be one of the finalists, and they will have some time to share their app into the next Power Apps community call. And I became one of the finalists. And finally, my app got the 3rd place of all awesome apps. So that's a big achievement for myself. And also the experience that I received is so valuable that that give me so much power and boost that I want to focus on. So maybe the next switch for me is to switch over to as a business application consultant or something like that. So that should be possible, but I have to try. But I know it's still Office 365 of Microsoft 365 combining with Power Apps. So I just in all my projects, common projects, I try to connect both worlds together. And last year I started for myself, and my company called 365 Power Consulting Services. It's actually connecting Microsoft 365, the power of Microsoft 365 and Power Platform together. Okay, and I know I still have some time, so I want to demo my Power 3D game. Are there any questions so far? If not, I start my because the mixed reality you have to use it on the mobile phone, because the camera of your laptop doesn't support the mixed reality feature. So I to share my my app, or to test it, you have to publish your app into the Power App mobile app to test it out. So I made my connection to the create my connection. So can you all see my screen, my mobile phone screen right now?
Yes,
we can see it.
Okay, great. So
you have us all.
You know, I'm a big fan of games. So you see my mobile phone has a lot of games, and also on my Power App mobile, you see a lot of games over here. So I load my app. That's the Pokemon 3D. And here is the first screen. Can you hear the sound, by the way?
Yep,
I also add some, because I asked in making this app, I asked my kids, hey, give it a try, and what kind of effects can I add it in to make it more easier and funny? So Rochelle, my daughter, said, hey, maybe you can add some sound on it. And my son said, hey, maybe you can do this and do that. So finally, we created almost together. So that's one of the nice thing of this. Okay, I do a demo of my app. This is the first screen. And let's say I click on Pikachu. Pikachu gives us a sound. This is the 3D module, the component. You can see the Pokemon in the Pikachu in 3D. And also, if I click on View in Real, it will open my camera. So, and then when I use my camera, you see all the dots and the circle. If I click on the circle, the 3D model will pop up. And here is Pokemon in real life. I can make photos. You can see it in different way. So if one is standing in front of you, you can hold, for example, Pikachu in your hand. If I go back and I load the Sheryl, I just move it around on the screen, on the floor, and it's also loading. I think it's loading. Give it a few seconds. Here it is. Just click on the circle, and then here is Bulbasaur. That's one of the Pokemons. I'm not sure you're familiar or not, but so you can create different photos. You can click on it to expand, and I can say, hey, I want to save this photo and the first one. Because the camera device use the mobile camera quality on your mobile phone. I have an iPhone XR, so the photo quality is very high. To reduce the upload and download size, etc., I just set a maximum of 3 photos. So you can maximum upload 3 photos at once. So I just choose, I select 2, and I press on save. And I found another GIF animation, and it's a very long GIF animation, but it's exactly fulfill the time, the uploading and uploading time. As you see on the screen, there can see 3 dots. Now it's pushing all the photos that I've created, push over internet, use Power Automate to grab the information, and then create a file and save it into my OneDrive. If your folder doesn't exist, it will automatically create a Pokemon 3D folder. So everyone has connection with Microsoft 365 or Power App to log in. So I think OneDrive will be the place to save the folders, save the photos. So now it's saved, and I can go back and I can click further. I also paste some kudos to promote the app a little bit during the entry of Demo Extravaganza, and here you can see some sources that I give them also, that give the other people some credits, where I have downloaded the 3D models, where I have downloaded the images and the sounds that I've used in this app. So actually this is the app, and if I go to my OneDrive, this is the last thing I want to show, and I go to my Pokemon 3D folder. And here you go. You can see all the images that I have uploaded from the Pokemon 3D app. You can see this is just 2 minutes ago. I can see all the images. And so I have created a lot of image. You see my daughter here with, here's my daughter with a Pokemon Charmander in hand. I'm not sure you can see it. Maybe I lost my connection of my, here. Yeah, you can see it.
Oh.
He's and during our daily walk, my son found a Pikachu. I have some, yeah. So you can see we have a lot of fun playing around with this game, with this app, and I think this is a good start for myself, but also to share this app with the community. So to inspire everyone to give this a try.
Wow.
So, okay, this is my Pokemon 3D game. I stop sharing my screen here, and I see I still have some time left. I would like to share the last project I am working on, and that's this one. In my spare time, in weekends, or in when I have time, I figured out, and this is the second game I am trying to create. That's Pokebubble. I try to add some more features over here. Let's say a leaderboard, some instructions or settings, with sound, without sound, how much life and how much round, how much bubbles I want to see, and then I can play the game. Let's say this one. It's still in working mode, so it's not finished yet. But I hope you get the idea how much fun I can create I can use with Power Apps. So this is for learning purpose, for playing around, also for fun, and I call this presentation as gamification in Power Apps. But yeah, this is one of the games I am trying to figure it out, and I can debug all the things and see how I can create things. But this is my learning path in Power Apps. Maybe if I can create something with I will receive a project or request to build a Power App, then I know exactly how to use the functions in Power Apps. Okay, last slide. Here's a link. You can go to the Power Platform community and look for the Power Apps Kids Zone. And over there, you can find my Pokemon 3D app. You can give it a try. Just download the app and publish this into your mobile device, let's say tablet or mobile phone, and then you can play around with the Pokemon 3D. Maybe the next version will be another theme, or you can search in a gallery with a lot of Pokemons or other 3D models like Marvelous or Marvel or Hello Kitty or another nice feature, and then just use the same idea and the functionality. Maybe they can use Hello Kitty, and then my daughter can create nice photos with Hello Kitty together. But that's the idea. And yeah, I showed my demo of the last, and this is my last slide. I just say let's get connected, and thank you for all attentions.
Wow,
that's my presentation.
Amazing.
Amazing.
So that's my learning path in Power Apps. So I hope to give you some inspirations and know how to. Of course, it took a lot of time, but it's fun. It's very nice to play with Power Apps. If you see what you can achieve, what you can reach, and how easy it is for someone without IT in-depth development knowledge, yeah, it's possible. I don't have to ask a programmer to do something for me. I can do it by myself right now. So that's why I like Power Platform. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us.
So now I can read back all the messages that I missed.
They're all good.
Be reading for a while.
Really? Yeah.
We all loved it.
Yeah, we did. We did. Thank you so much. And please, could you drop the link on the chat window? Thank you.
Of course, yes.
And your Twitter handle, so I'm sure a lot of people would want to want to
yeah,
reach
if
out.
you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I can share some time. Oh, I can. I will be happy to help.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Okay, so our next speaker for tonight is a very good friend of mine. I call her my sister. She's my sister from another mother. Yes, she inspires me a lot because she's like a techie. And she has been in the industry for a while, and she has been doing very well, excellently well. So I thought it'd be nice to have her on tonight's MeetUp to share her story with us of how she got started and how she has been able to stay relevant in the tech industry as a Black woman.
That's really funny. All right, then. I'm so glad to be here. Oh, Michelle, you've got a fan.
Just take it from me. You've got it fun.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Good evening once more. Thanks. I mean, for the past 1 hour, I think I've been having a lot of fun. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm so happy, really. So I don't want to waste so much of your time because Foye actually gave me 20 minutes, knowing fully well that I talk a lot. So I don't know, I'm going to manage 20 minutes to really talk on this anyway, but I'll try as much as possible. Once again, my name is Olajumoke Toriola. I'm the CTO for Hashem Limited. I've been in tech. When she used the word techie, well, I've been in tech for the past 17 years, really. Yes, 17 years plus, because since 2005, I've been in tech. I mean, I just finished my last paper, and then the next month, I was already in the company working already. So, my background has always been on the Microsoft solution. I mean, ever since I started to work, I went straight to the Microsoft solution. I'm an MCT. My core area is actually the Microsoft Exchange. And then before they bring in the Office 365, the cloud, so I move into that a little. And then that's what I've been doing. So currently, I'm the community lead for the MCT Niger M365 user group. So if you want to learn a little bit of M365, just come along. I'll try as much as possible to just be a little friend with you, you know. And then that's a little bit about me. So the agenda really is just, I don't really want to use a lot of slides. So I just want to be as interactive as possible and to just make it very short. Obviously, Foye gave me just 20 minutes. So we're going to look at the challenges faced by women in technology. I'm sure we have some newbies in our midst. We have some people just starting their career in the technology world, in the technology industry. What are the challenges? What are the ways you can overcome those challenges, and how you can stay relevant and needed always, I say. So, and then if you have any question, I'll take it from there. So way back in 2008, that's actually because I finished school around 2005. I mean, and then way back in 2008, that was the time. That was actually my very first project, and that was in Costain, West Africa then. Yeah. And then as some of the projects was going on, and then we go from one office to the other, probably because we just set them up on Active Directory, on Microsoft Exchange and all of that. So we go from one office to the other. And there's this white man, you know, the whole room was actually very smoky, if I can remember correctly, because you know you have the feeling, you know, when because of his cigarette, he was so thick in the air, and I have to work with him to join the system into the domain, to join his system to the domain, set up his Outlook profile, set up everything, and then when I walked into the door. I mean, the first thing I noticed was that when he lifted up his eyes, he looked at me and looked like, you know, a lady, you know, and then he made space, you know. So there's this, you know, when you even greeted, there was a way the response was, and then it was a lady. Anyway, so he just moved a little bit for me so I was just managing the little space he left for me that I can join the system. And when I finished doing everything that I did and the printer and everything, as I was about to go out, that was when he said these words to me, really. So I normally put it words on the marble. That's what I call it every time. And he said, whatever you do, wherever you find yourself in life, take this with you. Always make yourself relevant. And this has always been a quote that I give to anybody that comes my way, whether you be a female, whether you be a male, when you come and start your journey in the industry, I give you this. So I wish to share this with you also today. So one of the challenges we really go through while we, as females in the industry, one of the first things is acceptance. Now, I would say I have had a lot of it. I've had tons of it. I remember before, I mean, I have to travel out of Lagos to another state in Port Harcourt. And before then, that it's a government parastatals anyway. We've been having conversation on all the projects, you know, I come, and if you don't look at me very well, if you've not seen me, and my voice sometimes gives me away because you think it's a guy talking, really. You know, if you don't really see me face to face, you'll think, oh, he's a guy talking. So I've done all the presentation, I've done everything, and then it so happened that I have to go to the site, and I have to travel, and I'm going to spend about 2 months. So from the airport, I think they were actually looking out for a guy. And then when finally they saw it was a lady, the driver picked me up. So the driver says that, oh, they thought it was a guy that was coming. I said, no, it's actually a lady that's come, that is me. And when after greeting the guy, and then we got to the head of IT, I just stretch out my hands to say, oh, hello. And the guy just looked at, he didn't even take my hand, he just walked past. And the next thing he said, where is Ogo? Because Ogo used to be my boss. And that's a male. And then so ever since then, you know, I felt somehow, I felt rejected. I felt not accepted. It wasn't even about my skill set this time around. It was just because I was a female. And I can tell you you needed to imagine the kind of hell I had during that project. Every small thing that I do, you know, is always, is not, you know, even when it is a good thing, you know. And then before I learned my lesson anyway, and I'll share some of the lesson I learned afterwards. Then, so we have that problem of acceptance. We're not taken serious just because of the gender perception, or some men feel insulted really when they find a female in tech. They feel insulted, they feel like, what do you really know? Well, it's taken, there's a lot of shapes it's taking, right? I mean, there's a lot of reduction right now, but in some parts of the world, you still find that very, very strong. You know, in Nigeria, I've seen a lot of reduction with it. I mean, I kudos to our guys in Nigeria. I think they started taking us for who we are and then what we can offer. So, you know, I had that through doing all of that. And then there's another perception about the gender, the pay, the salary. You know, people look at, is a female, so probably how much needs does she have? I mean, does she have really? And then the pay. So we have all of those challenges we face. But one of the things I want to talk about is how to overcome those challenges. And one of the first things I need us to, if you're here and you're in that boat, go back to the basics. Know why you joined IT in the first place. What inspired you to become a techie anyway? What inspired you? And you know what? So I'll give an example, and then to this next point I want to talk about. I have a thick skin. I want to put that. So it's actually a thick skin I want to put. So one of the things I did with some of these guys is that when I find that rejection, and I'm going to share it, it's a tactics. If it works for you, take it. I mean, when I find these rejections with those guys in those days, what I do is this. I wouldn't make life easy for you in a way. I used to fight in the techie way. And this is the way. So if I'm coming to your environment and I see a pushback already because I'm a female, and probably I just want to ask you about your exchange environment, whether you have any form of redundancy. Instead of me using a very simple word to say, do you have any form of redundancy in exchange? Do you have high availability? Does your environment support disaster recovery? Because I know they don't know it. So that becomes like a weapon for me. And then, so I start gaining your respect immediately. And then, so, you know, before I leave there, you just find out people are saying, oh, she knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's talking about. And so in a way you find, you know, you gain that respect back, and it works for me. And over the years, that's one of the things that I've done. You know, so one of the things I'll say is that don't get discouraged when you're being criticized or noticed on purpose, for sure. Some of them will just do it, just like the same guy I stretched my hand to say, hello, I'm here, and then he just walked past me and just said, where is Ogo? You know, don't bother. Tell yourself you can do it. Drop the self-pity, really, because there's a tendency for you to pity yourself that why me, why, you know, and all of that. Then another thing I want you to also learn is to see how you can do what I like Sherry's presentation so much. It was so inspiring, so motivating, really, to be honest, you know. What scares you? What confronts it and overcome it? Identify those things. Could it be the way you present? Could it be the way you communicate? Could it be a challenge of you delving into a new technology or discovering the unknown in that technology? Go beyond the surface. Take up the challenges, really. I mean, there are times when I've been on projects, and funny enough, being a female in the tech, I surround myself a lot with with guys really. So I have a lot of guys on my team, you know. So one of the things I've seen in times, especially when you're a leader in, you're a female leader in the tech industry, is this. You have to learn a lot how to command bravery, even in the face of fear. I've gone a lot of times to some projects, and then you find out that those projects are quite very, very, very tough. And then all through the project, you just see me. There is the story they have. If you know me, and then there's something that cannot be separated from me called, because my nickname is MJ. There's something that cannot be separated from me, and that is going into you hear the toilet story, the restroom story. And what is it about the restroom? Each time I'm faced with any form of fear, everything is going, just see me while everybody's sitting there. I'll just take an excuse and just go into the restroom. And in that restroom, I'm always communicating upstairs to say, what's going wrong? Why is everything going wrong? You know? So sometimes, but then you come out and you put a face to it, and then you stay in front of your colleagues. You put a face there, and then you command that bravery, like everything can work fine. You know, you give them that encouragement. At the end of the day, when we're looking through the project and I'm telling them, do you know I was scared? And do you know my scared, you know my fears? And all of them will say, MJ, are you really sure you're afraid? We thought, you know, you had everything in control. I say, yes, I've got everything, but you have to. That's who a female leader is in the tech industry. And also one of the things is that don't be labeled as a woman. Yes, you are a lead, but it is gender, it is not your skill set. Your skill set is still more who you are and what you can deliver than your gender. Then learn also to network with other IT professionals. That's one of the things, you know, with this networking, you get encouraged, you get motivated, you get really, really encouraged on how to go on. So how to be relevant, really. Well, going online and looking for what the meaning of relevance means, the degree to which something is related or useful, or what is happening or being talked to what is happening or being talked about. So most of the time I tell people, if you are not around one day or you are on leave and nobody feeds you, then there's something really wrong. I tell my colleagues, so I'm not against you going on leave, but I tell you, if you are on leave and nobody can say, oh, if MJ is here, this would have been sorted. If this person is here, then that means you're actually not you're not being relevant, you're not making any impact where you are, you know. So that's one of the things. So how to become relevant? The first thing is you have to know your what. You have to know your what you have inside of you, what you can give, what you can deliver is very, very important for you to be relevant. Also, one of the things I want to say is that you invest in your time. So one of the things that I've seen with upcoming females in the industry is this, and I found that along the way, they dropped, you know, they've started off well, and then the next time you're going to see them, you just find that some of them they are no longer active. And what I've seen with them, I'm not against social media. Social media is very good. I commend social media. At least this is what it's all about, networking. But sometimes, you know, one of the things you need to tell yourself, you are not giving an extra 24.5 hours than the next female. What we are all giving something equal, and whether no matter your social status, your educational status, no matter who you are in the industry, what you need to know is that we all have equally 24 hours in a day. And that 24 hours in a day determines how much you have spent or what you have used. So if you tell me because he's a guy, that is why he knows better than you, and because he's a guy, that is why he's more techy than you, then I'll tell you that that is not true. Then how are you spending your 24 hours? So you want to invest in your time. Yes, spend less time. Instagram is good. Facebook is good, you know, but use it more constructively, like things like networking, going into the community, learn. That is how to stay relevant. Then improve on your skill set. I feel very from the time I started my career up till now. I mean, the other day I was looking at the counts of certification I've done in Microsoft, and I was almost going into 45, and I said, wow, I want to hit the 50 so that I can post it online also, So, and I'm so glad to see Sheryl, posting even at 50 and then do over 50, it doesn't really say how old you are. Technology has nothing to do with age, really. So improve on your skill set. I tell my people most times, draw out a time for yourself. Draw out a goal. Make sure at the end of the day, in a year, you challenge yourself into at least 3 certifications. Probably you want to do 1 in a quarter. From the beginning of this year, even though I have sat for 8 exams, I've failed 2, and it's all on Microsoft. Those are some of the things. You give yourself a target, and then you make a positive impact in the organization and industry. Start within the industry. If you take Foyin's experience story as an example, it started up within the organization, and before you know it, it blew out to the whole industry. And that's one of the reasons all of us can connect here. So just make a positive impact in the organization. And let me tell you one thing. There is the beauty about the pandemic. There is a beauty about the COVID-19 pandemic, because if you really, really, really sit down to think, it's giving you some opportunity for you to be very innovative, for you to be very creative, for you to show how much you have on the inside of you. So you want to tap in or leverage on this COVID-19, So those are some of the things you want to do. I've talked about the certification part, and always do this. Lastly, learn, unlearn, and relearn. One of the things I normally tell people is this. There is something being a female does not mean that you will make mistake. So when you make mistake, be able to draw the line between when a mistake is made and when a criticism is very constructive. So don't say because somebody criticizes you think that is because it is it has to be a gender thing. No, learn the things that you need to learn. If there's anything that you need to take as constructive criticism, do that, and then relearn. And then it's a pattern we need to go through, and all of that. You've become more relevant in the industry that way. And then one of the things I think I forgot also is to do what? Start a blog. I've not started this, but I think with the help of Foyin and then Sheyi and the other guys in the industry, they're pushing me a lot. I'm someone that I don't like to stay before the camera, really. Yes. So now I have to be very loud on the social media, on LinkedIn and on Twitter. They're really working on me, and I'm appreciating them for that. So that's one of the things you really need to learn to do, do that. And above all, whatever you do, I normally tell somebody this, whatever you do, just make sure. I'm a believer. So being a believer, I don't stop saying that. Put God first. And then with His grace, you can always be relevant all the time. Thank you so much, guys. If you have any question, I'm here to answer.
Thank you.
I beat the time for me.
Love that. Loved it.
Thank you, guys.
It was really inspiring. Thank you.
Yes, it is. I wrote an exam recently, and I failed, and I felt so bad because I read so hard. Like I put away everything, like all my work, and I was reading for this exam, and then when I finished, I said that I didn't pass. I felt so terrible. I'm taking a pause on exams for now. Like I have this load of work waiting for me, and all of this sacrifice just to write this exam, and I failed. And since then, I've not even registered for another exam. But I think one of the things I'm getting from today is it's okay to fail. It shows you where your gaps are, and it shouldn't discourage you from trying again. So I think I'm going to try to write the exam again. And yes, I'm going to try again. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I don't know if we'll take questions at the end. So we can have our next speaker. Like I looked at her LinkedIn profile and I was like, wow. She's a complete genius. Like, take it from me. If you doubt me, go take a look at her profile. Like, wow. All right, all right, all right. Clarissa, over to you. Thank you so much for taking our time to join us tonight.
Oh, that's all right. Thank you so much for having me. I have to say, I am like shaking now because all you guys have been amazing, and I'm somehow lost, and I've got a lot of amazing people to follow. So I will try my best. So I'll just quickly share my screen for you guys. Fabulous. So can you all see my my presentation? Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So I guess let's start off with who I am. I'm Clarissa Gillingham. I've been a business applications engineer at a company called Silver Sands for almost 1.5 years now. And before then, I had no idea what the Power Platform was. So it's been a crazy 1.5 years, but actually what we're going to delve into today goes back way further than that, because I'm going to be talking about my entire journey into tech. And as you guys may have seen from the descriptions that I've been putting up online about this this event, it's kind of a really wibbly windy, weird journey that has taken some really odd twists and turns. So as we go into it, yeah, you can see, to be honest, tech was never my destination. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an author or a singer. Well, I guess even before, when I was a really little kid, I wanted to be a robot or a dinosaur, but I don't think those really count as career options. So discounting those, we get to a point where, you know, I never really imagined tech being an option. And whether that's because, you know, I had that kind of image in my mind that you get from all the media you watch of the techie person being the guy with the big glasses and the, like, who hasn't seen sunlight in 60 years and you know, has no social life. And I thought, you know, that isn't something that I related to when I was a kid. So my first kind of real experience with tech, I guess, was Spyro the Dragon. It was my very first video game that I got. One year for Christmas, my mum and dad got me and my sister PlayStation 1, and Santa got us each a game to play on it, and I chose Spyro the Dragon, and I fell in love with it. And you know, you're like 8 years old and you're playing this video game, and it just seems like magic. Right, and I kept on thinking, like, how is this done? And it was really intriguing and really amazing as to how someone could make, you know, just this disc that when I put it in my machine, it did these amazing things, and I thought that was incredible, but I never thought that it was something that I could do. Never even once did it occur to me that that was something that I could pursue. And so at the time, I kind of stuck with what seemed achievable to me at that point in time, which was, you know, things like the writing and the singing and stuff. And then going through school, I was kind of in this weird scenario where I was good at school. And I think later in life, I realized that school is kind of a skill all of itself that exists within that strange little world. But, you know, you kind of get spat out the other end, and it doesn't have as much like transferable skills as like actually really being good at a specific thing. So I kind of struggled because I was this kind of jack of all trades. I was doing well in all my subjects and I didn't know what to pick, and I was doing this weird mixture of some like film studies, BTech, film studies A-level, with some music performance BTech, with some history A-level, and also doing maths and physics at A-level. And I had all of these options and I had no idea what to do. And at the end of the day, I chose physics for my degree. And the reason I chose it is kind of weird, because I chose it because it was the hardest one for me. I thought, well, there are all of these other things that I could go to uni and probably have quite an easy time if I pick something like English Lit, or if I pick something like history, or even, you know, I can have a really, really amazing and interesting time if I pick something like film studies. But at the same time, I wanted something that would really push me, something that I would have to go to uni to do. Things like, you know, the more creative or humanities subjects. I felt like if I really wanted to, I could pursue those in my spare time. But there's really no kind of substitute for being in a lab with a professor to help you doing experiments. And there was also that kind of like future prospects thing. But then when you actually go into doing physics at university, you find out that there are kind of two real prospects going out for it. And one is doing a master's and continuing on into full-blown research. And that didn't really appeal to me. And the other route is going into teaching. And while actually I really like the process of teaching, the idea of being in charge of a class of 30 odd kids is terrifying. I don't even want one kid, let alone 30 to deal with. So that wasn't really something that I wanted either. So then, really luckily, I guess, I just happened to pick in second year an optional module, which was Introduction to Programming in C for Physicists. And this was my very first experience with programming. And it's kind of crazy, right? Because if anyone knows anything about, you know, like your kind of traditional programming languages, C is old. It's not a modern programming language. This is, you know, this is the language that our professors were learning when they were at university, and they were all stood there saying, yes, this is modern work, but it really wasn't. But it was amazing to me, even though my very first program, which you typed into the command line, right, a 3x3 matrix, and then it calculated out as the output the determinant of that matrix. And even just something as simple as that, it just felt incredible when you know, you put in all the numbers and you hit enter and it gives you back the right answer, and you know that you were the reason that happened. You made that happen. And it kind of goes back to like that thing of playing the video games and thinking, well, this is magic, what's going on inside the box, and suddenly I was in control of that magic. And that kind of feeling of achievement and empowerment that comes with that was really quite addictive. And as I went through my course, I kind of tailored it more and more to programming. And in my fourth year, I did my master's project was a programming project, and I like injected some computer science modules in as well. And also did, like, outside of my course, did some learning into the kind of theoretical knowledge of more modern methodologies, learning about object-oriented programming. I was very lucky to have people around me who, you know, were able to teach me that sort of stuff. So that was kind of the direction that I wanted to head. But unfortunately, after university, my kind of career and path and everything took a bit of a stop. I realized when I was halfway through university that I'd been dealing with long-term mental health issues that I had just thought were common. I thought that this was just how everyone was. And part of those issues were to do with anxiety and insecurity. And this is something that, you know, is, I think, kind of core to my particular journey and why Power Platform is important to me. And that's, you know, why I say it. Oh, sorry? Oh, sorry. Yeah, if anyone does have any questions, feel free to say. But yeah, so after university, I was taking a break. I wasn't able to go into work straight away, And I was occasionally trying to dabble in hobbying in C++ or Java with my partner, who was amazingly supportive through it all. But I felt so easily overwhelmed by it all. And it felt so easy to fall back into that fear of not being good enough, not being able to do it. And, you know, suddenly it became too much of a barrier for me to actually pursue that dream of being able to create stuff with programming. And eventually, when I did manage to get back into work, it wasn't programming at all. I was in there was basically a local shop. I got a part-time job as a cashier, and eventually that turned into you know, rather than just 2 days a week, it was 3 days a week, 4 days a week, and they had a post office in the shop. And so I started to learn how to do the transactions on the post office, and then eventually I was doing things like cashing up the post office every day, and then doing the weekly reports on the post office and handling the ATM, and then training people on the post office. And this kind of really helped me to build up my confidence. And I found that I was good at interacting with customers, and that became something that, you know, I could kind of like hang my hat on and feel like, well, at least I'm good at this thing. But I didn't want to be in retail forever. I knew that very early on, and looking back at the skills and the education that I'd had, again, I came back around to programming being the one thing that I really wanted to continue to pursue from that past. But again, there was this big question mark hanging over it of, well, if I can, then I'd like to do that, but I don't know if I have those skills, because all I had was my academic skills in a very, very old programming language, and some hobbying skills in more modern languages. So I kind of applied around looking for junior programming roles, focusing on those that would give me training because of that kind of inadequacy that I felt. And eventually I applied at a company called Drilling Systems, and they got back to me and they were like, hey, we're not interested in you for this programming role that you've applied for. But we are interested in you for a team leader and testing role. So this was kind of my next step. I took them up on the role and joined the company. And while I was there, I kind of, continued to dive into learning complicated things, which seems to be my jam for some reason. But I ended up kind of becoming the expert in the company on the real life drilling operations, because we made simulators on drilling operations so that people can do like health and safety training before they ever actually get onto a rig. And I was writing test procedures and managing projects, and trying to shield the guys who were working under me from all the kind of pressure from the sales and everything, and also trying to steer them in the right direction. And eventually it kind of got to the point where the guys would start coming to me with their programming problems, as well as with their kind of like logistical problems. And I would start to advise them about how I would go about fixing bugs. And I was really lucky because, as we've heard from Olajumoke, it's not easy being, a female leading a bunch of male guys, especially since I was the youngest or one of the youngest people there at the time, and all of the guys under me had been doing this for a hell of a lot longer than I had been doing the project management side of things. But I was very lucky in that most of them did respect me, and I was able to have those conversations about, well, this is the bug that I've found. This is how it should be working. I think probably what's happening is this, and then we'd look at the code together, and I'd be able to help them out. And eventually, by the end of my time there, I was drawing out class diagrams for planning a modular structure for rewriting that exercise script structure, because at the time they were doing everything like kind of coding everything for one exercise script and then having to redo the same thing for another exercise script. And I was like, no, that is not the way you want to do it. We can do this much easier and quicker. And that was my favorite part of what I did there. But, you know, still, even being there, I was still getting frustrated with, while I was being responsible for the thing, I wasn't actually able to get my hands dirty and get it done, which having that kind of lack of control really didn't feel good for me. So I knew that I wanted to move on, and I wanted to move on to something where I had a bit more kind of agency on actually making the thing happen. However, I still felt as though I didn't have the tangible experience necessary for a programming role. So I was thinking, well, while I'd love to do the kind of programming side of things, I don't have experience of that. What I do have is experience of project managing. So let's apply for a project management role. And so I applied to a couple of places, and one of the places I applied to was Sofasands, which is the company who I'm working for now. And in a very similar kind of the opposite direction way to my first conversation with Drilling Systems, they said, hey, thanks for calling us back. We're not interested in you for the role you've applied for. And, you know, you always have that moment where you think, well, why did you ask me to call you then? But what they were actually interested in me for was the development role that I actually wanted, but was too frightened to go for. And so I was really, really lucky, really, that happened. And it was when I was, you know, on the phone to them, and they were saying, well, we've got this development role about the Power Platform and using the Power Platform to be able to create business solutions. And this was the first time I'd ever heard of the Power Platform. And I was hesitant at first because of this, like, aforementioned imposter syndrome. But the role was introductory, and they knew that I didn't have experience developing with the platform, and were happy to build me up. So I just was like, okay, this could be a big thing for me. And while it was frightening, I just went for it. And so you know, this takes us back to May 2019, where suddenly, whereas I'd previously thought Office 365 was just Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, I was suddenly learning SharePoint and Canvas Power Apps and Power Automate. And even since, I've done like Power BI as well, and I'm now continuing the learning with doing model-driven apps and using the Common Data Service. And I was suddenly able to put into practice all the theoretical and academic programming background I had, but in a way that wasn't frightening or overwhelming anymore, because it was something visual that I could put together, that I could use those creative skills that I, you know, had from way back at the very start when I was doing art and when I was doing film studies, and I was really interested in the creative side of things. And I was able to put all the elements together onto the screen in a way that made sense to me, and all of the code is kind of, you know, in that kind of bite-sized little bubble where you're like, okay, I want to focus on what this button does. And you can, and you don't need to do a bunch of code and then compile something and have that fear of it not working. It comes back with 68 million errors, and you're just sat there going, oh God, what am I doing with my life? This feels awful. Instead, you get those kind of instant gratification moments, and that kind of the feeling of success and achievement of being able to create something, and being able to create it and build it in a like iterative manner where it can get more and more complex. And really, I think that, you know, the role that I'm doing at the moment is kind of bringing together all of this stuff, and especially as well with the community that we have. And I started managing to kind of make a bit of a name for myself in the community, people were talking to me and being like, wow, I actually really like what you're doing. And having that feedback, again, it kind of helps to banish those imposter syndrome worries and woes, and kind of helps to convince you that actually maybe you're not too bad at this whole developing malarkey, because people are saying that you're pretty good, so maybe you should believe them. And this is why it means so much to me, and this is, you know, to bring to the whole second half of the title, what empower everyone means to me, because without the power platform and that empower everyone message and kind of concept that it's built around, there is every chance that I would still think I was underqualified for a development role, and that I could be stuck in project management or some customer account management role that I didn't really want, but it was all I felt that I could do. But the power platform turned something that was big and overwhelming but exciting and what I wanted to do into something bite-sized. And I feel like kind of the easiest way to explain it is that, especially Canvas apps, because that's really what I latched onto, it's not actually, we say it's low code, no code, but it's not low code or no code. It's actually as much as you want code. And what I mean by this is that you can iteratively build that complexity up, injecting more and more traditional coding elements at your own pace as you become comfortable with it. You could start off with just a regular form, and then you can go, okay, well, actually, I want to make it so that if a user selects this option, then this question appears, and if, you know, otherwise it's invisible. And then you're starting to inject if statements in there. And then maybe you want to do something with a gallery, and you want to, or a collection, and you want to do something to every element in that gallery or collection. And then you're introducing for loops, which are all of these kind of traditional coding elements, but you can do it a bit at a time. And at each point you can see something working, and that gives you that reassurance and tangible achievement. And so for me, the power platform, even if technically maybe I could have been able to just go into traditional dev, I didn't feel comfortable doing that. And the power platform gave me a chance to be comfortable making and doing what I wanted to do. And I think that this is why the power platform movement includes far more women than any other tech spheres that I've known, because programming is seen as this intimidating thing that is very male dominated. I mean, when I've had experiences where when I was telling people, oh, you know, for my final year project, I'm doing a programming thing, and the guys would always turn around and go, oh, I bet that's, you know, you're just doing some scripting in Python, aren't you? And I was like, no. And they say, oh, well, you're probably just doing a little bit of Java. And then, you know, I'd have to finally break in and say, no, it's in C, and it's proper, like, explain the whole thing. And then they kind of look at you and go like, oh, well, that doesn't seem right. And you know, I've had other experiences as a woman in a male dominated course at uni. I mean, I was one of 10 females in a year of 160 students taking physics. And I was constantly needing to prove my worth, even to those who were failing the course, while I was getting first-class results. It's really bizarre, and programming can be that same male-dominated blob, which is scary in its own right. And then programming itself can be overwhelming, even if it doesn't have that, you know, kind of hostility around it. And it joins it up to make this huge barrier to entry. But the power platform is different because it empowers everyone to just have a go. The community is inclusive and wants to share and help instead of hoard their knowledge, like, you know, the angry dragons kind of know, like, I must be the only one who knows. Instead, the community is like, yeah, I found out this cool thing and I'm going to share it with the world. I have this problem and I'm going to ask the world how to try and help me. And it just, you get that kind of ability to be able to teach people that, hey, programming isn't rocket science. Essentially, all programming is the process of breaking down English sentences into instructions that are simple enough for a computer to understand. And once you take away all the complicated jargon and you take away that kind of hostile atmosphere, you learn that, well, it's actually okay to give this a go. It's okay to make mistakes. That's the learning process. I think that as women, we are more conscious or frightened that a single mistake will shape the way that people view us. Because if people already have this narrative that they're running in their head of, oh, she's a girl, so she can't program, then when you make one mistake, they go, oh yeah, okay, then my narrative was right. I was right all along. She can't do it, regardless of any kind of successes that you've had in your past. But with the Power Platform, because it's so new as well, everyone's starting from a somewhat even playing field. Right, there's not a case of you're having to break down these years of kind of experience. We're all on the same starting point, or a very similar starting point. And I think it's amazing that the community is being able to really inspire and help people to rise and thrive from whatever background they're from. And I mean, we have the hashtag "We Rise by Uplifting Others," and I think that hopefully what we can all do today is, continue to nurture that community. We can go out there and we can show not only, that as women we are being successful in this sphere, but that it is a valid thing for people, for girls and women to be going for. It's an environment that is becoming better, I think, for women in tech, and that we make mistakes too, and that's absolutely fine, and they don't have to feel like just because like everything is kind of hinging on if I make that one mistake then it's all going to explode, because it won't. I've made tons of mistakes in my time, and I've only been doing this for 1.5 years, and somehow I'm still being invited to speak at amazing events like this. So basically, hopefully you guys can continue the amazing work that you're doing with inspiring everyone, and hopefully we can keep having tools like the Power Platform that really, allow people to explore those incredible spheres that might have seemed too intimidating and too scary before. And I've totally gone over time, so it's a good thing I went last. So but I will shut up now.
That was great.
Thank you.
That was really good.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's really, really inspiring. It's so amazing that as women, regardless of wherever we're located or whatever language we speak, we kind of always face the same kind of challenges, right?
Yeah.
So I hear what you say, and I'm also hearing Jumoke's, story also. And you see, we're in completely different locations, but it's totally the same, right? So thank you so much for sharing. Yeah. I think you're doing amazingly well with the Power Platform. I didn't imagine you're relatively so new. Like, you're doing really well. Thank you. So next time you show us the cool demo.
Yeah, no, I kind of had in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, maybe if I get through it quick enough, I'll have time to show off something. And then I looked at the time and I was like, oh, no, I do not have time. I have waffled on.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you to all our amazing speakers. I know it's getting really late for some of us now. We had some people have to drop off because it was past midnight. So I don't know if you have any questions for any of the speakers, our audience.
I've really enjoyed this evening's session, actually. I really, really liked everybody's stories. Really, really good.
And every time we have awesome stories and sharings and inspirationals after each session.
I know, it just like fills you up, doesn't it? Make you feel like, yes, we can do this.
Feels like we are on a good path and doing awesome stuff, right?
Yeah, it does. It really does.
it's really incredible actually that the Power Platform community in particular, it just has such a larger proportion of women than other tech communities. And I've been thinking for a long time, like, what actually is it about the Power Platform in particular that kind of allows us to shine on an equal level and an equal footing. And yeah, I think hopefully, this kind of generation, as we move up through and continue to develop and to kind of put ourselves out there, then hopefully it will kind of normalize female developers to the point where it will be a similar kind of distribution in more traditional tech communities as well. So
yeah, that would be really nice.
Mm.
Really nice. This is something that I'm quite keen on promoting, particularly with younger women, right? And particularly at school. Like, so we have the STEM, we have STEM to encourage girls, right, to carry on with the maths and the engineering, the technology, and the science, because it just drops off, and it's such a shame, because there's a massive world of opportunity that girls are just not, they're not able to get access to, because they just don't, I think they just don't have role models, right?